So, the spoilers are out for My Hero Academia Manga Chapter 399, and for what we're getting with the spoilers, we're going to be getting a lot of action, but not just from All For One and All Might, but from a secondary battlefield, and you're just going to have to watch this video to figure out where we're going to be going next. And we will be talking more about this, but first, right after this. Hey guys, how's it going? It is your boy, Manga Andrew, and I'm here to cover the spoilers and the leaks for My Hero Academia Manga Chapter 399. And from what we're getting with this chapter, a few things. One, this is going to be around an average size chapter, around 15 pages. And second, it's going to be a chapter focusing heavily on action with a lot of characterization from All Might, but even more from another character that we've been waiting to get more characterization for during this war. And who that character might be? Well, you're just going to have to watch this video to find out. So let's dive into the spoilers and talk a little bit more about this chapter. And to start off, the chapter title is going to be Chapter 399, AC-Powered Lamp. And the chapter begins with All For One destroying a building while All Might dodges with Tentacle and Throppy, tentacles that increase his mobility and let him stick to walls. He begins to plan his next attack, which will make use of Shoto Cannon and Tail Man Tail. If Rewind speeds up based on the amount of damage he takes, All Might realizes that he's going to have to use that student's quirk, but using it in normal way wouldn't have much of an effect. So he asks the Anima robot birds to grab him something and they fly away. All For One appears and says that running away after laughing like that is quite pathetic. He understands All Might's plan and is going to kill him with minimal effort, which leads him to covering the entire alleyway therein with black tendrils. And this is where I'm going to start talking a little bit, because it's very interesting. What we're getting from the spoilers is setting up for what we're going to be getting at the end of the chapter when it comes to that particular student. And we're going to get hints to what that particular student is, and that's going to be pretty much accurate for what this final weapon is. But it's very interesting to see All Might in this moment acting a little bit more strategically, as well as getting to see that All For One is going to have a reasoning for why he isn't going all out at this moment, which is also going to be very interesting. And if you don't know, it most likely has to do with the fact that the harder that All For One fights, the more damage he's going to use to his body, which is going to speed up his rewind faster. And getting a little bit more into the tech spoilers, All Might dodges by flying upwards, but then comes face to face with two giant monstrous mouths. He calls All For One a liar because that's not minimal effort, but All For One says that's far from his full power. The mouths start biting everything from around them as they chase after All Might. All For One starts laughing, saying that All Might's smile is gone, and that now he's just an old man with no entrails that tried to copy the power of children. The tendrils break the armored tentacles, and All For One says that the whole world will see the death of the former symbol of peace. All Might tries to dodge, but All For One comes out from inside the wall and hits a full blow, making All Might spit blood. All For One says that the light that's shown inside him is gone out, and we see the same image we saw in Kamino of All Might in the snowy place, but this time without any fire. But All Might is not done yet. He puts the Shoto cannon inside of All For One's mouth and fires, saying that he hasn't understood a thing. People are flickering. Even if one's light goes out, another person may inherit it and keep illuminating the darkness. It then cuts to Aoyama. So pretty much what we got from here is just a lot of most likely cool action between All For One and All Might. And as I said earlier, the reasoning why All For One isn't going full out is because doing so would most likely cause the rewind to go faster. So he's using techniques that can incapacitate All Might, or at least slow him down or heavily injure him, which includes literally just punching him, which is going to cause significantly less damage to his body than him just going all out with his quirk. So we're seeing a little bit more of the fight dynamic and the fight battling change to be a little bit more evened out, but not to the point where All Might will be having a definitive edge over All For One. And as we see with the last part of the tech spoilers, we're going to be cutting over to the battle that Aoyama has with his fellow villain. And cutting over to the next part of the tech spoilers, Kunita has defeated all of the heroes in the parking lot except for Aoyama, who's injured and has roses growing out of his body. He tries to attack with a laser, but Kunita says that he doesn't need any more light because his seeds only need human flesh to grow. Fat Gum says that the flowers grew roots in his body and absorbed the nutrients, preventing him from using his quirk. He then tells Aoyama to do his best and passes out, causing a huge flower with Fat Gum's appearance to bloom. Kunita says he's never seen a flower this big. When a flower blooms, pollen spreads around and starts a chain reaction, creating new flowers that he then used to attack. One of the flowers bites Aoyama's belt and hands it to Kunita, who starts a speech about how pathetic is Aoyama for being born with a, quote, broken power. Aoyama remembers when his parents gave him the belt and says that's exactly why he said merci to Kunita at the start of their fight. The fact that he called him a traitor made Aoyama remember his mistakes and made him even more desperate to shine like his friends. He activates his quirk and the lasers go in all directions since he can't control it. None of them hit Kunita and he laughs, but then Hagakure appears behind him and reflects the lasers so that they hit straight on. "I've been waiting for you, hero," she shouts. And this is where I was talking about the interesting part of that chapter, because we, at this moment, slightly pan over to what's happening with Aoyama, where we get to see the battle already in progress, which makes sense for the most part because all of these fights are happening at the same time, and unfortunately we can't really see all of these fights go into their major battles from beginning to end because that's just how the story is structured. But even then, we're getting a little bit more characterization, most likely from Aoyama in this moment, and the reveal of where Hagakure has been, because she was the only student that we haven't had any knowledge of where they were, and it makes sense that she is with Aoyama at this moment. And as this moment comes to an end from what we see with the tech spoilers, we get towards the end where we cut back over to All Might as he continues his speech saying that the new generation is illuminating the darkness and giving him the chance to shine again. We see that image of All Might in the snowy place again, but now he's getting up on his feet. He starts laughing and says that he still doesn't think he'll lose. We then see that the robot birds have brought what's left of Hercules and it fires a laser at All for One while still in the air. "I can't stop twinkling." End of chapter. So from what we see of the spoilers, this seems to be a very fitting end for what this chapter was pretty much trying to tell when it comes to the characterization of All Might as well as Aoyama, as well as tying in the generational theme of passing on the torch or light to the next generation from the older generation. So it makes sense that Aoyama would be a part of this fight and that we wouldn't see his fight until now. So that's something very interesting that we can talk about at a later date. But overall, that's all the spoilers that we have for this video. There is going to be a very hefty amount of stuff in this chapter, not just with the fighting, but also with the characterization of the characters, as well as setting up for chapter 400, which is most likely going to be a very big and massive chapter, which is probably why we are going to be going on break for the next week. So I will most likely not be able to do a review within the upcoming week after the review for 399, but I will try my best to see if I can get something else out there for y'all while that chapter is being thought up by Horikoshi and pinned on paper for most likely the conclusion of this fight between All for One and All Might. So, let me ask you, what did you think of the spoilers for this chapter? And do you think that this is going to be an amazing or bright chapter? Leave your thoughts down below. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit that notification bell to be notified for whenever I upload more content like this. Do all that cool jazz, and hopefully I'll be able to catch you in my next video. Goodbye!